theyeshiva.net.
Okay, we start a new Mishnah today. Daf Tes Amud Beis. Daf Tes Amud Beis on the bottom. All the way on the bottom, 3 lines from the bottom. Megillah Daf Tes Amud Beis. Ein ben Shiloh LeYerushalayim. Okay. As an introduction to this Mishnah, let's recall a little bit of the basic history. The Jewish people were liberated from Egypt in the year 2448 since creation. 40 years later, they enter into Eretz Yisrael in the year 2488 since creation. They're in Eretz Yisrael 14 years. They conquer and divide the land among the tribes, among the Shvatim. It takes 14 years. Sheva Shanim Kibush, Sheva Shanim Chiluk. 7 years of conquest, 7 years of division. During those 14 years, the Mishkan is in a place called Gilgal. That's where the sanctuary is. Okay. Afterwards, the Jews are settled, and they come and they build and they construct a Mishkan in a place called Shiloh. In Shiloh, in Eretz Yisrael, territory of Yosef, the Mishkan is for 369 years. Settled. After that, it gets destroyed in Shiloh. The Aron gets abducted and captured. For the next 57 years, the Mishkan again is in transit in a place called Noiv and in a place called Givoin. Finally, the Beis HaMikdash gets built. Finally, David brings the Aron to Yerushalayim. He makes the plans, and ultimately Shlomo builds the Beis HaMikdash. And of course, that becomes the replacement for the Mishkan, the permanent structure, which lasts for 410 years. The Babylonians destroy it. It's rebuilt under the permission of the Persian Empire, stands for 420 years, and then the Romans destroy it in the year 70 after the Common Era, or approximately 70, 68, 69, 70, one of those years. Says the Mishnah, Ein ben Shiloh LeYerushalayim. There's no difference between the status, the halacha, of the Mishkan in Shiloh and the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim. No difference. Elo, shebeshiloh eichlin kachim kalam u'maser sheni b'chol haraya, u'b'Yerushalayim lifnim min hachayma. There is one major difference between Shiloh and the Beis HaMikdash in terms of halacha. Of course, the place is different, but in terms of halacha, there's one major difference. There's no difference in the sense that Shiloh became a permanent structure, and from when the Mishkan was put up in Shiloh, all the bamais became forbidden. As we learned previously, once the Mishkan was in Shiloh, you can't build a bama, a mizbeach in your backyard and offer a carbon, because there's now a central place. There's a Mishkan in Shiloh. The bamas become forbidden. In that sense, Shiloh and Yerushalayim are the same. Unlike when the Mishkan was in Gilgal, or the Mishkan was in Noiv and Givoin, where the bamais were not forbidden. Where you could have a bama ktana, you could have a small bama mizbeach in your courtyard and bring a carbon, which is very interesting. But Shiloh is like Yerushalayim in the sense that both of them outlawed any private karbonis in your own backyard. Granted. But there is one big difference. What is it? In Shiloh, you can eat kachim kalim and meiser sheni b'chol haraya. B'chol haraya means from any place where you could see the Mishkan of Shiloh, and in Yerushalayim only inside the wall. Let's explain what this means. Kachim kalim, what's kachim kalim? Kachim kalim are many karbonis, which are called kachim kalim. They have a lighter status, a more lenient status. There's kachei kadashim, which are more holy. Kachim kalim are holy, but it's more kal. It's more light, it's more lenient. For example, a carbon pesach. Where can you eat kachim kalim? You can eat it when the time of the Beis HaMikdash in the whole Yerushalayim, inside the wall. You couldn't take it outside of the wall. If you took it outside of the wall, it was disqualified. You had to burn it because it was allergic. It would desecrate it. It had to remain in the kedusha of Yerushalayim inside the wall. But the carbon pesach, I can go to my brother's house if he lives in the old city, right? And barbecue with him the carbon pesach. You had chaburis in the whole Yerushalayim. The same is true many other karbonis. We say every morning before davening, right? You remember? Abchoir, Hamaiser, Pesach, right? Kachim, remember? Kachim kalim, right? V'necholin b'chol ha'ir. They can be eaten in the entire city. If a person brings a carbon shlamim, if a person brings a carbon toida, ha-toida, ve'el nazir, a nazir, a pchor, a meiser, a carbon pesach, all these eaten inside the wall of Yerushalayim. The same is true meiser sheni. What's meiser sheni? Meiser sheni means that you have to give 2% of your grain to the kohen, 10% of your grain to the Levi, meiser rishon. Then Meiser Sheni was 10%, you had to take to Yerushalayim and eat it over there. Or if it was too much, you converted it on money, and you brought the money to Yerushalayim, and you bought the food there, and you ate it. But it had to be in Yerushalayim because it was holy. So he says there's a big difference between Shilei and Yerushalayim. When the Beis HaMikdash was in Yerushalayim, where do you eat Kachim Kalim and Meiser Sheni? Inside the wall of Yerushalayim. In Shilei, you were uninhibited. You can eat it far, far away as long as B'chol Haraya, as long as you could see the Mishkan of Shiloh, wherever you are, that's a place that's qualified to eat Karbonis or eat Meiser Sheni. That's the difference. V'kan, but in both, Kachei Kadashim Nechalon Lefnim and Aklayim. Kachei Kadashim, which means more stringent, holy Karbonis. For example, a carbon Chatas, a carbon Asham, Carbon shalmei tzibur menachos. Oil is also kaddish kadashim, and nobody eats it; it just goes on the mizbeach. Kadshe kadashim have to be eaten where? Lefnim min haklayim, inside the Beis Hamikdash. They were eaten inside the curtains. Klayim are the curtains. In Shiloh, the Mishkan had two parts, right? The Mishkan had a part that was covered with a roof, and then the Mishkan had the courtyard where the mizbeach was, that was outdoors, and they offered the karbonos. That had mechitzas, kloyim, that surrounded the courtyard of the Mishkan. And over there, you had to eat the karbanis kachei kadoshim. You couldn't eat it outside of the kloyim of the Mishkan. And in Yerushalayim also, you had to eat it within the azara of the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash, again, had a part, the structure that was covered with a roof. And then there was a part that was open, but it had a wall around it, the mechitza around the azara. That would be called like the kloyim. In the Mishkan, it's called kloyim because it was like curtains, veils. In the Beis HaMikdash, it was actually a wall. The azara of the Beis HaMikdash paralleled the courtyard of the Mishkan, and the wall surrounded it, and that's where you ate the karbanas, and the same is true in Shiloh. So when it comes to kachim kalim, there's a difference. When it comes to kachim kadashim, you have to eat it within the azara or within the courtyard of Shiloh.
What defines kachim kadashim and kachim?
Kachim kalim is defined. Basically, it's different categories of karbonis. That's what we say every morning in Ezel Mekayman. Some karbonis you can eat in the whole Yerushalayim. Some karbonis you can't. You can only eat in the Beis HaMikdash. In the Azara, was not allowed to be taken out. Carbon Pesach is kachim kalim.
Yes.
Carbon Pesach is kachim kalim. Usually, the kachim kalim were eaten by everybody. In a chalim b'chol ha'ir, b'chol adam, b'chol meichel, right? It was a family event. The Kohanim got a little part, but the primary one who enjoyed it was the person himself. Yeah. Kachei kadashim was primarily the Kohanim's meal. They ate it in the Beis HaMikdash. It's a different status of karbonos. The Mishnah continues, Kedushas Shiloh yesh acharei heter. Kedushas Yerushalayim ein acharei heter. The Kedusha of Shiloh has a heter afterwards, meaning when Shiloh was destroyed, the Jews could go back to Bamais. They can go back to offer karbonos on their own, in their own houses, if they build a Bama. Yesh acharei heter. There was permissibility for a private carbon after. Kedushas Yerushalayim ein acharei heter. Once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, the Isur of being makriv in Bamais was not removed. It remains. So that's why the Mishnah comes into all these categories of all these Mishnahs. Ein ben Shiloh Yerushalayim Ella. The differences between Shiloh and Yerushalayim. So the Gemarah is going to discuss that now. That's going to be discussed now. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, says the Gemarah, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak said, fascinating halach. Shamati, I heard from my teachers. Why am I saying for my teachers? Because the Ritva adds the word. May Rabbi say, Shamati. What did I heard? What did I hear? I didn't hear it in the mikveh nayas, or in the supermarket. I heard it from my Rebbes. Generally, Rashi in a few places in Shas says when it says Shamati, it means I heard from my teachers. What did I hear? Shemakrivin bebeis choinyoy bezman hazeh. You can offer karbonis in the house of choinyoy, even nowadays. What is beis choinyoy? You ever heard of beis choinyoy? You know what it is? Beis choinyoy is a fascinating story. The Kohen Gadol in the beginning of Bayis Sheni was a man named Shimon HaTzadik. Shimon HaTzadik's tenure lasted for many decades, 40 years. He was a Kohen Gadol. He had two sons. One son was Shimi, one son was Choinyoy. Shimon HaTzadik wanted Choinyoy to be the Kohen Gadol. At least one version of the story. There's other versions, but this is one version of the story. He wanted Choinyoy to be Kohen Gadol. He appointed him to be the high priest. Shimi was jealous. We learned yesterday about Eva, hatred. He was jealous. And he had Choinyoy get dressed up in garments that he thought was a Kohen Gadol, but were really feminine garments. And it was a desecration. And the people thought Choinyoy is mocking Judaism, and they wanted to kill him. And he ran away to Egypt. And that way Shimi can get the power for himself. What did he do in Egypt? He built the Beis HaMikdash. He built the Beis HaMikdash. And he built the Mizbeach. This is called Beis Choinyoy, the house that Choinyoy built in Egypt. Now, this Gemarah couldn't say in 1905, 1906, a British excavator discovered it. Yeah. Again, you can't say for sure. He discovered things in the area that seemed very, very much to replicate and reflect this whole community and center, spiritual center he created. He created a Beis HaMikdash with a Mizbech. Says Rabbi Yitzchak, I heard from my Rebbes, you could be makriv karbonis in the Beis HaMikdash by the altar that Choinyoy, the son of Shimon HaTzadik, built in Egypt, bizman hazeh, now, after Churban Beis HaMikdash. You can go there in Beis Choinyoy and be makriv karbonis. That's what he says. This happened during the era of the second Beis HaMikdash. Shimon HaTzadik was from the remainder of Anshe Knesset Agdoila. He met Alexander the Great. Alexander of Macedonia met Shimon HaTzadik, the Gemarah tells us in Yuma. Right? Shimon HaTzadik went out to meet him with the Shmoyne B'gadim because Alexander wanted to take over Judea. Alexander bowed down to him. Nobody ever saw that. And Alexander became very close. That's when Alexander became a Jewish name. Shimon HaTzadik promised him. Right, the Kohanim are going to have children. They'll name that's why Alexander's a Greek name. Alexander became a Jewish name, and he left the Jews in peace. Alexander the Great, of course, was the man who created the Greek Empire. He died, and then the empire of Alexander the Great was split up into different sections, 4 sections, and that's when you had Ptolemy in Egypt, and Ptolemy's son, Ptolemy II, Philadelphus, is the one who forced the 72 sages to translate the Torah. But this is before. So during this era of Bayis Sheni, this is before Hanukkah. Early in Bayis Sheni, Choinyoy escapes to Egypt, and he builds a whole center of Judaism there, a Beis HaMikdash. And people come, and he offers karbonas there. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, you can go today, be makriv in Beis Choinyoy. What's pshat? So the Gemara is now going to analyze this. A fascinating Gemara. Oh, a huge community. The community in Egypt was huge. Remember, Jews after Churban Bayis Rishon left. Most Jews didn't come back to Eretz Yisrael when they rebuilt the second Beis HaMikdash. They brought back only 42,000 Jews came from Bavel, from Iraq. Most Jews remained in Babylonia, remained in Egypt. They remained in exile. Most Jews didn't come back to Eretz Yisrael. So Egypt had a huge Jewish community throughout Bayis Sheni. Huge. The famous Shul in Alexandria, the Gemarah discusses, where they had to wave a flag because they couldn't hear the Kedusha and this. They had to wave a flag, went to say Baruch, went to say Amen. Alexandria, the Shul in Alexandria, It was named after Alexander. Alexandria was named after Alexander. Because these became the Greek strongholds. After. Alexandria had a huge community. And that's why he had them translate the Torah. The Ptolemy from Egypt had them translate the Torah into Greek. This was a continuation of Greek culture. Ultimately, it would lead to the Hanukkah story. Ultimately, much later, but it would lead to that. That the Syrian Greek, who was Antiochus, who was another successor, and he was in Syria, he decided that it should completely take over Jewish life, right? But that's when he put up the statue of Zeus in the Beis Hamikdash, and the Kohanim Gedolim worked for him, and he wanted Jews to be completely Hellenized, and most Jews were Hellenized. B'siavnim they were called. But Chaim goes there and builds a Beis Hamikdash. Zag the Gemarah Kasavar Rabbi Yitzchak calls Beis Chaim Lav Beis Avodah Zarah. Beis Chaim was not a base of Avodah Zarah. He built it l'shem Hashem. He built it because there was an argument. Why did he build it? Did he build it as a rebellion, as a competition? Says Rabbi Yitzchak calls no. He built it because he wanted Jews in Egypt to have a shul, a place of inspiration, place of learning, a place of Avodas Hashem. That's why he built it. Because if he holds that it was built for Avodah Zarah, Rabbi Yitzchak wouldn't say you could go be makriv karbonis in a house of idolatry. So obviously he holds. There were those who held that Chanya did a horrible thing. There was an argument among the sages. Huh? One second. Because Savar, he also holds Kedusha Rishayna Kedusha L'Shaita V'Lekitcha L'Asad Lava. The first Kedusha, what's the first Kedusha? The Kedusha that was conferred on Yerushalayim and the place of the Beis HaMikdash. When Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash were chosen, the place was chosen. The first Kedusha, Kitcha L'Shaita. He sanctified it, which means David and Shlomo sanctified it L'Shaita for its time, not for the future, not for after the Churban. The Kedusha was a temporary Kedusha. They sanctified the place of the Harabayis and Yerushalayim for the time that the Beis HaMikdash would stand. But not La'asid Lav. La'asid Lav means for the future after the Churban Beis HaMikdash. In other words, after the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, the place does not retain its holiness relative to bringing karbonis and eating karbonis. Of course, I don't think he argues that there's a certain holiness in the place of the Beis HaMikdash. But it's not the only place reserved for karbonis and eating karbonis. You could do it somewhere else. Just like after Shiloi, you can build a bama and bring a carbon. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, even after Yerushalayim, you could still bring karbonis elsewhere. For example, Beis Chanya, just as an example. Doesn't mean dafka beis chanya. So you can go to Egypt and bring a carbon to Hashem in Egypt. Why? When the Beis HaMikdash was, you're not allowed to. It's shchutei chutz, because the kedusha is only over there. But the kedusha is limited. After the churban, there's no kedusha there anymore. Like kitcha la'asid love. It's a temporary kedusha. Just like when Shiloh was destroyed. You can go back to your own house and bring a carbon. Why? Because the kedusha could now be in your own house. It's not reserved in Shiloh because Shiloh is gone. So he tainas the Beis HaMikdash has the same halacha. Kitcha l'shaita, v'loi kitcha la'asid lava. When the kedusha is there, that's the place of kedusha. That's the only place you can bring as a carbon. Now it's not there, so where is it? Wherever you want it to be. Rabbi Yitzchak called you can be makriv karbonos. Look, I made this up. What are you saying? Yeah, well, I'm reading to you what the Gemarah says. One second. We'll get to it. As Rashi says, Kasavar kitcha miskachi Yerushalayim eina k'doisha la'olam u'mishacharva hutru abamois. You can go back to bamois. La'asid lave k'loima mishatecharev. It was not kadosh forever. And now we're going to tell you the source. The ksiv, the pasuk says, and here's a fascinating pasuk. We have a chumash here. Somebody could pass a chumash. A dvarim here, right there. That book, the red book. This is a fascinating pasuk. The beginning of Parshas Re'eh. In Parshas Re'eh, Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Jewish people, he says, There's a place that Hashem chose. That's where you should go to find the Shechina, and that's where you should bring your karbanos, and that's where you should eat your karbanos. Okay? Not like when you, as Rashi says it, when you pass the Yarden, Ish kol hayasher be'einav, you could build a mishkan wherever you want. You could build a bama wherever you want. Ki lo yivasem ad ata el hamenucha v'al hanachal asher Adonai Elohecha nosen lach. Because you haven't yet come to the menucha and the nachala that Hashem has given you. And therefore you could build bamas everywhere. But once you come to the menucha, to the rest, and to the nachala, to the inheritance that Hashem gave you, now that becomes the place where you bring all the karbonos. Okay? So Chazal explained this brilliantly. Now, look, and I want you to focus for a moment. After Shiloh was destroyed 369 years, it took 57 years till the Beis HaMikdash was built. During those 57 years, they were allowed to be makriv and bamas. The Mishnah said, after Yerushalayim, no. Why the distinction? So they learned it from this pasuk. It says, Lo yivasem ad ata el hamenucha ve'el hanachala. What's menucha and what's nachala? Menucha, they translated as Shiloh. Because why did the Mishkan settle down in Shiloh? Because the wars were over. 7 years, 14 years, 7 years, 7 years. Jews now had menucha. Shiloh was a time of menucha. The Jews relaxed from kibush, from conquest. It was menucha. Another reason it's called menucha is because Shiloh actually had a binyan avonim. Unlike the Mishkan, which was made of beams, the Shiloh had a structure. It wasn't a mobile sanctuary like the Mishkan. It had a structure of stone, so it's called menucha. Okay. What's nachala? Nachala means the permanent inheritance. Nachala is like an inheritance which goes forever. Father to son, father to son. That's the Beis HaMikdash, because that's chosen as the permanent place. Beis HaMikdash Rishon, Beis HaMikdash Sheni, the permanent place of the Shechina. Ask Chazal, why does he have to say both? Right? If once Shiloh was built, you can't have bamais anymore. Because you didn't yet come to menucha. Once you come to menucha, there's no bamais. He says you didn't come yet to menucha, you didn't come yet to nachala. What does this mean? So the Mishnah understood, you didn't come yet to menucha, is Shiloh. But after Shiloh will be destroyed, you didn't yet come to nachala, meaning the bamais could come back. Because if the bamais would be forbidden after Shiloh was built, Moshe should have said, you didn't yet come to a place of menucha. The moment you would come to a place of menucha, there's no bamais anymore. He adds, el ha-menucha vel ha-nachala. This means, as Rashi puts it in Chumash, litein heter bein zu lezu. Between Shiloh and Yerushalayim, there's going to be a hiatus, a churban, and then you could be makriv and bamais. That's why he has to say, el ha-menucha ve'el ha-nachala. Because if not, what does he have to say, el ha-nachala? The moment Shiloh comes into the picture, all bamais are out. If the bamais are usher from Shiloh, what do you have to say that they're going to be usher after Yerushalayim? Obviously, from Shiloh, it's off limits. Is the charaya that there's going to be a break? After Shiloh, it will be permissible. That's why he says, after menucha, you can't do it. But then you still have to wait for nachala. Because after Shiloh, there will be a time that you could make bamais. And that's why you have to wait for nachala. And by nachala, again, you can't do bamais anymore. No, because he says, the reason you could do bamais is because you did not yet come to menucha. That means once you come to menucha, you're not allowed to do bamais anymore. But then he says, and also you didn't yet come to the Beis HaMikdash. Why is that relevant? Because that means that Shiloh is not a permanent prohibition, because after the destruction of Shiloh, you could go back to bamais. Right, you don't have nachala. No, but so then he wouldn't mention menucha, he would just mention nachala. Because by Shiloh, it's prohibited. When it's standing, when it gets destroyed, you can go back to bamais. Comes Rabbi Yitzchak and says, and I tell you, pshat is, even after the Beis HaMikdash, you can go back to bamais. Even after Nachla, you can go back to bamais. You could be makar Beis Chanya, Bizman Hazeh, after the Churban Bayis Sheni. So what's pshat? So he says, Diksiv, Kilei Bosam ad otel ha-menucha v'la nachla. Menucha zu Shiloh. Nachla zu Yerushalayim. Makish nachla le-menucha, ma menucha yeshacharei heter. Af nachla yeshacharei heter. The Torah juxtaposes nachla to menucha, just like menucha has a heter after it's destroyed, meaning after the menucha is destroyed, you can go back to bamais. Nachla too, after it gets destroyed, you can go back to bamais. That's how he teaches. Nachala and Menucha are on the same wavelength. After Menucha, you go back to Bamas, the Mishnah said. I tell you, after Nachala, you can go back to Bamas. Why? He holds Beis Chanya is not a base of Avodah Zarah. He holds Kedusha Rishona Kitchel Shaita V'Loi Kitchel Asid Lavai. He compares Menucha and Nachala. That's his source. The Beis Hamikdash has the same status of Shiloi. After the Churban Shiloi, you went back to Bamas. After Churban Beis Hamikdash, the Bamas are mutter once again. You could be makriv a carbon. Rabbi Yitzchak lived after Churban Bayesheni, of course. Rabbi Yitzchak lived after Churban Bayesheni. Zog the Gemarah, because the base Bayis Sheni was also a nachla because it was a continuation of Bayis Rishon. Amrulei, when the Talmidim heard this from Rabbi Yitzchak, so just like you got startled, just like, what's your first name? So just like Rabbi Simcha got startled, they also got startled. They tell Rabbi Yitzchak, Amrit, it's true you said this? It's true, really? You said that people can go to Egypt to Beis Chanya and be makriv karbanas? Amar Lahu, Rabbi Yitzchak said, Loi, I never said it. I never said it. Whoa. Amar Rava. So Rava said, Ha Elohim Amara. I swear he said it. Elohim is like a shvua. It's like by God. I swear Rabbi Yitzchak said it. Not only that, Gemirna Lamineh. We learned this all from him. We learned this from Rabbi Yitzchak. I could tell you he said it. I could tell you that the man said it. What happened is, Rava said, he regrets it. He retracted. He regrets it. That's what happened. He said it. He regrets it. Oh, my time at Kadaba, you know why he regrets it? I'll tell you why. Misham Kushida Rav Mari. Because the question of Rav Mari. The Monsey of Rav Mari, when Rav Mari heard this heter, they allowed to be makriv in a bama. Nowadays, Rav Mari said, it says in our Mishnah here, Daf Yud, Kedushas Shilo yesh acharei heter, Kedushas Yerushalayim ein acharei heter. After Shilo there's a heter, after the Kedusha of Yerushalayim there's no heter. It says clearly in the Mishnah, we just learned, that after Yerushalayim's Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, you can't go back to Bamas. V'oitnan, there's another Mishnah, Masechtas Zvachim Kuf Yud Beis, Mishabol Yerushalayim Nesru HaBamas. When the Jews came to Yerushalayim and built the Beis Hamikdash, the Bamas became prohibited, V'lo hayolem oid heter. And there was never permission again to be makriv a carbon in a Bama, in a private domain. V'hi hoysel nachala. And Yerushalayim became the nachala that the Torah mentions, that the Jewish people are one day going to come into a nachala. El hamenucha ve'el nachala. What's a nachala? A nachala is the permanent inheritance of the Jewish people in terms of the place where the divine presence is going to dwell. That is Yerushalayim. And therefore, even after the Churban of Yerushalayim, there is no heter to be makriv anywhere else. So we have two Mishnahs in Meseches Megillah Daf Yud and Meseches Vachim Daf Kuf Yud Beis that clearly tell us that unlike Shiloi, once the Beis Hamikdash was built in Yerushalayim, the Bamas became prohibited forever. That's why when Rav Mari brought up two Mishnahs, Rabbi Yitzchak realized that this was an error and he retracted. Ooh, interesting question. Why didn't he just say I changed my mind? Why did he have to say I never said it? Huh? You're saying he so regretted it, he said it's like I never said it. Like erase it. Erase it from the record, yeah? Erase it from the record. Like it's so wrong, like just I never said it's like I so don't think it's true, it's like I never said it. Like you'll say, I never understood how I could have thought that way. Right? It was like, why? Because Reb Mari brings two Mishnahs that contradict us. Our Mishnah Masechtas Vach. Okay, but this discussion is not over yet. For it, he did say it. He did say there were two Mishnahs, and he did say it.
He obviously knew about the Mishnah before.
Oh, Tosfos asks, the second Tosfos, Stam, an interesting thought. The first Tosfos is Makrivim bebeis Chanya. Kash eich makrivim sham betumah da gazru tumah al eretz ha'amim. Chachamim were geyser tumah on Chutz La'aretz. Perhaps for this place where there's a Beis Hamikdash and Chutz La'aretz, they weren't Geyser Tumah, because Ben HaTorah you're allowed to be makriv, they're not going to make Tumah there. Fascinating answer. My time Mahadar Bei Mishum Kushid Rav Mari, Hikshir Rabbeinu Chaim, Harav Reb Chaim, Umitchila Heichi Amal Milsa V'chile Hoya Yodeya HaMishnah. Rabbi Yitzchak didn't know a Mishnah, V'aloyein Shgurois B'fikoil. Taisva says, Mishnayos, everybody knows Mishnayos. Rabbi Yitzchak didn't know two Mishnahs, that after Yerushalayim you can't be makriv karbonos outside? Not like Shiloh. How is this possible? How is it possible? We'll soon get to Tosfos' answer because it's relevant to the next piece of Gemarah. But I'm saying your question is in Tosfos. Rabbi Yitzchak was an Amoira because Rava said, Rabbi Yitzchak, he can't argue. He can't argue on a Mishnah. So Rava says, we heard it from him. This is Amoirayim. So therefore, the question of Tosfos is, how did he not know the Mishnah? He said something, and then, oh, by the way, there's two Mishnahs. Oh, sorry, I never said it. You can understand, I never said it. I was like, how could I say it? Okay, it's like I never said it. Fine, but how can he even think it? Rabbi Yitzchak is not a Katlakanya. He's talking about one of the Gedolei Adar, huh? Right, why does Rava have to swear? The Rava wants to say that there's a truth to it. Same Rava who said, there's a truth to it. Like he said it, there's authority. So the Gemarah says now, let's see, it's not so pashut. It's not so pashut. Let's remember, what was the yisoid here? Rabbi Yitzchak said, Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita V'lai Kitchel L'Asid Lova. The first Kedusha of Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash was only for the time of the Beis HaMikdash, not afterwards. In other words, the Kedusha could travel. It's not permanently there. Says the Gemarah, Tanoihi. This is really a machloikus of Tanoim. In other words, don't start attacking the Yitzchak. It's a machloikus. The Tanan, we have a Mishnah, fascinating Mishnah. Listen to this Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer said, Shamati, I heard from my teachers, the Jews come back from Babylonia, present-day Iraq, and they rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash. It takes time. When they're building in the Heichel, they're building the chamber of the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash had a few sections. There's the section of the Beis HaMikdash that was covered, it had a roof, that was called the Heichel. The inner Mizbeach was there, the menorah was there, the table was there, the Kodesh HaKadoshim was there, right? The Arim was there in the first Beis HaMikdash. And then you had what's called the outdoors, the Azara. That's where the outer Mizbeach was. That's where they brought the daily karbanas, the meal offerings, the animal offerings, they sprinkled the blood. That was outdoors, the Azara. That's where there was more access to people, because it was outdoors. And this was all on the Har HaBayis and the Temple Mount. So different sections. When they came back to rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash, they were building the Heichel. They made kloyim, temporary curtains around the Heichel and temporary curtains around the Azara in the place where they wanted to build walls. Really, they had walls, but till they built the walls, it took time. So they had temporary curtains. By construction sites, lahavdil, they'll put up, they put up temporary veils or curtains or tents, whatever, in order to be able to work over there even before the final product is done. So in the place that they were going to build the Heichel and the Azara, they put up veils and curtains to remain as temporary mechitzas, temporary partitions, until the walls will be built, because it took 22 years. It took 22 years to finish the walls, as Rashi says. For those years, they had temporary partitions as veils. Okay? Ella, the difference. Ba'heichel boinim b'chutz, u'ba'azara boinim b'fnim. In the Heichel, they built the walls outside of the Kloyim. In the Azara, they built the walls inside the Kloyim. You understand? In the Heichel, they put the curtains a little inside, a little too much inside. They pushed it inward. They didn't put it in the place where the walls have to be. They put it more inward. So when they're building the wall, they build the wall outside of the curtain. By the Azara, it's the other way around. They built the walls inside the curtains because they pushed the curtains outward, not in the place of the wall. By the Heichel, they went in, indented, and by the Azara, they went more out. So when they had to build a wall, they went inside the curtains. That was the difference. You understand? By the Heichel, the temporary mechitzas were deep inside, not in the place of the wall. So when they're building the wall, they don't see the Heichel because the curtains are blocking them. The walls is outside. By the Azar, it's the other way around. They pushed the curtains more out, so the place of the wall was inside. So when they built the wall, they were actually inside the Azar. Why the difference between these two? Pashat. They didn't want that the constructors, those who are the contractors of the Heichel, should be in the Heichel when they build the wall. So they put the Klayim there, so they were outside. They didn't want them to be in the Heichel. They didn't also want them to see the Heichel. The Heichel was not a place. Only Kohanim would go there. The Azara, they didn't care. Let them be in the Azara. Adar, let them be in the Azara. What do we care if they work in the Azara? So therefore they did the Klayim more back. Fine. That's Rabbi Eliezer's Mishnah. Rabbi Yeshua said, Shamati, I heard. Now here comes another fascinating halacha. Makrivin afal pisha ein bias. You could bring karbonis on the mizbeach in the place of the Azor, even though there's no Beis Hamikdash. There's no structure. If it's the place of the mizbeach and the Azora, you can bring karbonis. Oichlin kotche kadoshim afal pisha ein kloyim. You can eat karbonis in the place of the Azora, even though there's no mechitzas that surround the Azora. Kotchem kalam meiser sheni afal pisha ein chayma. You can eat kotchem kalam and meiser sheni in the whole Yerushalayim, even though there's no fortress surrounding the city. You have to eat it inside the city. Rabbi Yeshua says, even if there's no wall. Why? Because the first Kedusha that they sanctified Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash when it was built was sanctified for the time when the Beis HaMikdash is standing and when the fortress is standing, and it was also sanctified for the future after it got destroyed. Hence, Rabbi Yeshua says, even after the Churban Beis HaMikdash and Yerushalayim, the Kedusha was not obliterated, and therefore you can be makriv karbonis. You can eat all the karbonis in the Azara and all the karbonis in Yerushalayim. You get to Rabbi Yeshua's Chiddush? Yeshua says this, okay? Very practically. Today, could I go onto the Harabayas in the place of the Azara and the Mizbeach and bring a carbon or not? What does he say? Yes. There's no structure. There's no Kodesh HaKadoshim, there's no Heichel, there's no Azara, there's nothing. There's just a rock that you're standing on and a mosque. He says, Kedusha Rishoyna, Kitchel L'Shaita, but the Kedusha is the same. You can eat kachim in the whole Yerushalayim, the place that used to be in the Chayma. Why? It's still holy, even without the structure. It's not like Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita V'Loi Kitchel. So Kitchel love it. The Kedusha is there. The Kedusha is there. You can be makaf karbonis. You can eat them in the place. You have to know where the Azara is. It has to be that original place, the original Mizbeach. That's what the Gemarah is saying. Now this, of course, is a very, very loaded statement. Why? Because as a result of this shtickle Mishnah that Rabbi Yeshua told us, this Mishnah, Maseches Edi, is Perek Ches quoted here, attempts have been made throughout the last 2,000 years to be makriv karbonis in the place of the Beis HaMikdash. Rabbi Yeshua says you're allowed to. You're allowed to. You don't need a mechitza, you don't need an azara, you don't need a heichel. You can have a desolate place, but if you know the place of the Mizbeach and the azara, right, you build a Mizbeach, and that's it you need. A kohen could bring makriv karbonis, sprinkle the blood. You can eat it over there, and you could also eat it in Yerushalayim, even if there was no chayma, as long as it's the place. Why? Because the first kedusha with which they sanctified the Beis HaMikdash when it was built, Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni, is kitcha la'asad lavai. It's a kedusha not only for them, it's also a kedusha for the future. If that's the case, Rabbi Yeshua Taines, you could be makriv all these karbonis even after the Churban Beis HaMikdash. That's what he says. Makrivin. There's a very, very famous sefer, Kafta V'Ferach, and he brings that one of the Bali HaToisfos, Rabbeinu Yechiel mi Paris, wanted to go to Yerushalayim. He went and he tried to be makriv karbonas bizman hazeh in the time of this Bali Atoisvus. This is the 1100s, the 1200s, the 1300s. Rabbi Chiel Mepariz, the 1200s, wants to go to be makriv karbonas on the Harabayas. In later generations, people tried at least with the Karban Pesach. Karban Pesach is a chorus. If you don't do Karban Pesach, it's chorus. They said you're allowed to bring the Karban Pesach. There's, of course, a lot of issues. What about Tumah? We consider everybody Tamei Meis. We don't have a Parah Aduma to cleanse Koyanim and to cleanse people. How can I eat the Karban Pesach? But we all know the answer. The answer is Tumah Hutra B'Tzibur. If most of the Tzibur or all of Klal Yisrael is Tamei, you could use Koyanim or Tamei. They could go, take the sheep, you could slaughter it if you know what you're doing. The Kohen could sprinkle the blood, you can roast it and eat it. You're Tamei. If I'm Tamei myself, I have to wait for Pesach Sheni. But if Klal Yisrael is Tamei, it's a Klal. The Gemarah says Tumah Hutra B'Tzibur, Tumah Tchuya B'Tzibur. You do have to know the place where the Mizbeach was. Yeah. Many rabbis over the centuries said, we know. You look at the Dome of the Rock, it's considered the Even Shasiya. You go a little distance east, Mizrach, and you're in the area of the Mizbeach. And you don't have to know exactly the inch where the Mizbeach was. It has to be in the domain of the Azor. As long as you're in the domain, you build a Mizbeach, and that's it. The old Belzer Rebbe, Reb Aaron of Belz, Chusa Yagan Aleinu, who passed away in 1957. He survived, he lost his family, came to Eretz Yisrael in the middle of the war and remained. He lived in Tel Aviv. He was makbid, Erev Pesach in the afternoon, not to be in Yerushalayim. MS, you know that? That's what they say. You know why? He says, you have to be B'derech Rechaika. It's a chash karis, yeah. It's a chash karis. You could be makar the you could be makar the Karban Pesach. After the 6-day war, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, yeah, said a famous sikha, and he suggested, and I believe all the Chabad Chassidim, at least in Yerushalayim, followed that whoever lives in Yerushalayim, Erev Pesach after Chatzos should go out. Because it's a suffix karis, because it's under Jewish control. Harabayit biyadenu. If it's under Jewish control, you could be makriv the Karban Pesach. You could be makriv, and the Rambam paskins like Rabbi Yeshua that you could be makriv the karbonos without a Beis Hamikdash. So he said Pesach Sheni and Pesach Rishon, because if you're b'derech rechaika, yeah, then you're potter. In 1975, there was a whole discussion between him and Rabbi Shlomo Yosef Zevin. Shlomo Yosef Zevin was in Yerushalayim, and he argued. There was a whole fascinating exchange of letters. In 1975, he wrote back to Shlomo Yosef Zevin that he thinks this is completely inapplicable because the Israeli government is now in a position where they surrendered so much to Arab demands that there's actually no potential whatsoever. But every year there's another debate. Yeah, he said, Pashta Metzias, you can't. It's a complete oinus. He felt that now, Yeah, but I'm saying this is a fascinating halacha.
They eat a matzah with their flesh?
Shulchan Aruch doesn't discuss these halachas, but the Rambam paskins like Rabbi Yeshua. Yeah, the Ravid argues, but the Rambam paskins, so that's why. Rabbi Akiva Eiger asked his son-in-law, the Chassam Sofer, to try to do it. Akiva Eiger wrote to the Chassam Sofer, can we try to be makar the Karban Pesach in Yerushalayim? Chassam Sofer says that the Turkish Sultan there is a tough guy. You don't want to start. What about a kohen? They said you don't have a kohen meyuchas. You need a kohen. Chassam Sofer said we follow a chazaka. Somebody has assumed that he's a kohen. It's good enough for karbanas. They eliminated a lot of the problems. Tumah, koyanim, who's going to eat it? How are you going to be at makar? They eliminated the problems. Obviously, some argued, but the Chassam Sofer was pro, Rabbi Akiva Eiger was pro. Chassam Sofer said practically it can't work. Reb Tzvi Hirsch Kalischer, it was a very heavy discussion and debate. Just after 1967, the Lubavitcher Rebbe felt the Chassam Sofer's excuse was that it's not under Jewish control. It's under Jewish control. If it's under Jewish control, so that means it's Jews. All Jews are mechuyev to follow the Torah. It's Pesach. You have a chiyuv to be makar Karban Pesach, and if you're allowed to, you're mechuyev. That was the issue. So he said, for a Jew to be there and not to do it, yeah, is a problem. It's a problem.
It has to be done under Adar.
And then he said that by 1975, their hands were so tied because of the pressure of the world, and they surrendered everything, and they gave in to every single demand, that it was they practically were themselves in a prison, and they were all anusim. They were just. At least it's a shitta. He felt because it's a chash kares, it's a shitta that you should be careful with. It's not l'chol adayis, but it's a suffix kares. It's a suffix kares. That's why I told the Belzer Rebbe, they said would never be the Yerushalayim Erev Pesach. This is even before the Jews conquered it. But this is all based on Rabbi Yeshua. That what? That you don't need the Beis HaMikdash in action built to have the Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash. You don't need Yerushalayim built to have the Kedusha of Yerushalayim. Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita V'Kitchel Asid Lavai. Fascinating halacha of Rabbi Yeshua. It's not like Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak said you could be makriv outside of the Beis HaMikdash. That Rabbi Yeshua is not saying. But in the Beis HaMikdash, you could be makriv. According to this, what do we have in this Mishnah? Rebbe Lezer said when they built the Beis HaMikdash, they put curtains around the Azara for 22 years and around the Eichel. Rabbi Yeshua said you could be makriv karbonis even without a wall, because the way the Gemarah understands this is that Rabbi Yeshua is arguing with Rebbe Lezer. Rebbe Lezer holds that what? Miklal, the Rebbe Lezer, savar loy kitchel asid love. Rebbe Lezer says that they had to put up walls in the times of Ezra. He holds that what? The Kedusha Rishayna was not sanctified for the future. It was nullified with the Churban Beis HaMikdash. So therefore, if there would be no mechitzais, if there would be no klayim, you could not be makriv karbonis. Why can't you be makriv karbonis? Because you need the structure. So they had to put up a temporary structure. Comes Rabbi Yeshua and says, you don't need a structure, because the Kedusha is still there, even without a structure. What's the machlokes? Clear. Rebbe Lezer holds Kedusha Rishayna like Hitchal Asid Lavai. So when the Churban Beis HaMikdash happened, it's all gone. So now when they come back from Bavel, they have to build temporary walls to create a structure of a Beis HaMikdash. You need a Heichal, and you need the Mizbeach with walls around it, so there'll be an Azara, and it has to be Pesach Oyel Mayed, facing the doors of the Heichal. So you have to have a structure, even temporary. Rabbi Yeshua says you don't need anything. It can all be desolate as long as you have a Mizbeach. You're good, because Kedusha Rishayna, Kitcha L'Shaita, V'Kitcha L'Asid Lavai. You can't. No, we're not talking about bubbles. We're talking about couldn't you do in the Beis HaMikdash without a structure? No, you can't do bummas. But what do we see from here? That loit Rebbe Lezer Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita v'loy Kitchel Asid Lavai. Loit Rabbi Yeshua Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita v'Kitcha L'Asid Lavai. This would mean that what Rabbi Yitzchak said earlier, that Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita v'loy Kitchel Asid Lavai, and therefore, if you don't rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, you could be makriv b'mos everywhere. He has a source from Rebbe Lezer. Rebbe Lezer would hold, if you didn't build mechitzas, go to your house. If you rebuild the mechitzas, now you have a Beis HaMikdash. You re-mekadosh the Beis HaMikdash. Rabbi Yeshua says you don't have to re-mekadosh it. It's kadosh. Of course, you're not going to be makriv anywhere else, and you can be makriv even without mechitzas. Amalei Ravina Levashi. No. You're pushing it. Mimai, how do you know this is pshat? Dilma lekula alma kedusha rishayna kitchel l'shaita v'kitchel asid love. Maybe everybody holds kitchel asid love. Mar my deshmiel lekamar. Mar my deshmiel lekamar. Every Tana said what they heard. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Lezer may not be arguing. Everyone is repeating what they heard. Rabbi Yeshua holds Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita V'Kitchel Asid Lavai, and therefore you can be makriv even if there's no structure of the Beis HaMikdash. He's not arguing with Rabbi Lezer, who said that they put up curtains, and he's arguing with him. Maybe Rabbi Lezer is not disagreeing with him. Maybe he also holds Kitchel Asid Lavai, so why'd they have to put on curtains? V'chiteim kloyim l'Rebbe Lezer lamali, l'tznius abalma, for tznius, for modesty. Rabbi Lezer never said why they put up Chaim. He's just telling you the mitzvahs that he heard, the stories that he heard. And Rabbi Yeshua is telling him the halacha. They're not arguing. You're proving from this Mishnah Rabbi Lezer has a different shitta. No, he never said that. He just said the facts. They came and they built temporary curtains, maybe for tznius, Maybe because they didn't want everybody, the whole world should see what's going on in the Beis HaMikdash. Maybe that was the reason. For modesty, for confidentiality, for edelkeit, for refinement. Not everything has to be exposed. That was the reason. Maybe in Shita he holds exactly like Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer is telling you the story. Rabbi Yeshua is telling you the halacha. Rabbi Eliezer is telling you the story. They built temporary curtains inside, outside. And Rabbi Yeshua says, by the way, you could be makriv even without anything. Because that means Rabbi Eliezer would agree with Rabbi Yeshua. That means, again, Rabbi Yitzchak has no source. The Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita V'Lei Kitchel Asad Levei. You could be makriv in Beis Chanya Bizman Hazeh. So the Gemarah says, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Okay. So now, what do we have till now? Let's. Your toif is the sugya here or not? Huh? Rabbi Yitzchak said you could be makriv outside of the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemarah says, what do you mean? There's two mishnahs. Rabbi Monsey said there's two mishnahs against it. Rabbi Yitzchak regretted. He said, I never said it. Fine. Rav said he did say it. Okay. So the Gemarah brings a machlokes tanoim if Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita or Kitchel Asad Lavei or not. The Gemarah thought that Rabbi Eliezer holds like Kitchel Asad Lavei, and therefore when the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, it's all over. Let's say it's not all over, not all over, but a lot of it is over, and therefore you can be makriv in your house. Build a bama, just like it used to be makriv in your house. Build a bama. There's a Beis HaMikdash, not anymore. That's the place. It's not the place anymore. The place could be in your backyard. That's how we thought Rabbi Eliezer believes. And that's why, when they came back, they had to build the structure of the Beis HaMikdash in order to be makriv there. Because without the structure, Kedusha Rishayna, Kitchel L'Shaita, V'Lei Kitchel Asad Lavei. Now you could say, according to Rabbi Eliezer, why do they have to build a mechitza? Just treat the Beis HaMikdash like your own courtyard. But remember, in your own courtyard, you can't be makriv every carbon. You can only be makriv what? A carbon neder, a carbon nedava. Rabbi Eliezer said they wanted to be makriv every carbon, so they had to make it a Beis HaMikdash, not just a bama. You're right, for a bama you don't need a mechitza, but they wanted to make it a Beis HaMikdash. All the karbonis, even that which you can't do in a bama. At least a bama g'dayla. So therefore, Rabbi Eliezer believes they had to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash at least temporarily. Rabbi Yeshua says, you don't need anything. Kitchel Asad Lavei. It's still holy. There's no structure. I don't care. And of course, you can't go to your house and do a bama. You can even do it here without a structure. So the Gemarah rejects it and says, no, Rabbi Eliezer can agree mamash with Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer just says the Metzias was they built curtains. That's it. But in Shitty can hold just like Rabbi Yeshua. Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita V'Kitchel Asad Lavei. This is the only place of Kedusha, and Rabbi Yitzchak's view is rejected. Comes the Gemarah and says, we're not done yet. Ela kihani tanoi. There is a machlokes. Look at these tanoim. The machlokes of Kedusha Rishayna, what happened is a machlokes between tanoim. The Tanya, we have a brayso. Rabbi Shmuel, the son of Rabbi Yossi, said, the Mishnah says about a little tiny introduction. When a person sold a plot of land in Eretz Yisrael during the time of Yovel, which was throughout the first Beis HaMikdash until the 10 tribes were exiled by the Assyrian Empire, there was the custom, the mitzvah of Yovel every 50 years. The way it worked was, that when I sell most of my houses or fields, they come back to me by Yovel. There is an exception, by Beis Arei Chaima. If I sell a house in a city that has a wall, over there I could redeem it for 1 year. If I sell it for $1 million, 1 million shekel, I have 1 year to redeem it, meaning I come with the money and you have to give me back the house. But after the year, it remains yours and it doesn't go back to me in Yovel. That's the din of Beis Arei Chaima. You have a year to get the money and get it back. And if not, it remains the buyer's for good. Doesn't come back by Yovel. This was a unique chiddush. If it's a house in a city that doesn't have a wall, then I could redeem it whenever I want. Not only a year, and even if I don't, it comes back in Yovel for free. By Yovel, it comes back. Bais Arei Chaim is only a house in a city that had a wall from the days of Yehoshua ben Nun. Comes to Bishmal Rabbi Yossi and says, there's a Mishnah in Erkin that mentions 9 cities that have the definition of Arei Chaim. 9 cities, a Mishnah and Erkin. Okay, part of Tzipori, Gush Chalav, Yudefes, Gamla, Gdud, Chadid, Oina, Yerushalayim. Rashi's Goyer is also Lud. We learned earlier about Lud. Why did the Chacham only mention these 9? Yeah, why did he mention only these 9? Why dafka these 9? The Mishnah even says, V'chein kayotze behen. The Mishnah says there were others, so why mention only 9? So he says, Sheksha'alu b'nei hagoyla, when the people of exile came back in the time of Ezra to Eretz Yisrael, matzu es elu. They encountered these cities. They went through these cities. V'kitchum. And they sanctified these cities to become batei arei. They had to sanctify them. They had to make them kaddish. Just like there's a way of sanctifying Yerushalayim, a way of sanctifying the Hazara, there was a way of sanctifying the cities. Like Rashi says before, that when Ezra came back and they rebuilt the Beis HaMikdash, they had to sanctify it, according to Rebbe Lezer. Why? Because like when we thought in the beginning, like Kitchela Asid Lavai, so they had to sanctify it. How? They built a structure. They would go around and be makriv toides and sing songs to Hashem. It was a way of sanctifying it. So they sanctified these cities. Aval Harishainis, but all the first ones, Batlu Mishabatla Aretz. Their Kedusha was nullified when the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael was gone with Churban Bayis Rishon. Alma Kasavar Kedusha Rishaina Kitchel Shaita V'lai Kitchel Asadlov. B'Shmuel ben Rabbi Yossi holds the first Kedusha did not apply to the future. That's why Batei Arei Chaima, their Kedusha was obliterated, and only 9 of them were re-sanctified. He says clearly the other ones are batal. Why? Because once the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael was gone with Churban Bayis Rishon, so what happens is the Kedusha is batal unless they come back and they sanctify it. That's what the Bishmal holds. And the Gemarah is comparing it to Kedushas Yerushalayim. Just like Kedushas Yerushalayim is like Kitchel Asid Lavai, Kedushas Batei Arei Chaim is like Kitchel Asid Lavai. When Yeshua ben Nun sanctified them, it's not for the future, and therefore after the Churban, it's gone. It's finished. It was only for the time that it was standing and it was being used like the Beis HaMikdash, like Yerushalayim. So they had to re-sanctify the Batei Arei Chaim. Yeah, of course. It was only, that's what he holds. Kedusha Rishayna was only for L'shaita, not L'Asid Lava. Yeah. Just like the Beis HaMikdash and Yerushalayim. Yeah. When it comes to being makriv karbonos or eating karbonos. You're right. You want to know why he's comparing it to Batei Arei Chaim. He's comparing it about one thing. Did Galus nullify the Kedusha or not? Yeah. The Galus nullify the Kedusha. The truth is, when we speak about Kedusha Rishayna, Kitchel Shaita, and Kitchel Asid Lavai, you can't get confused because there's 2 points here. Point 1 is there's Kedusha Rishayna of Beis HaMikdash Harishon. There's also the Kedusha of Beis HaMikdash Hasheni, the time of Ezra, right? Chainyai was built in the time of Bayis Sheni, right? So I'm just mentioning that one thing. A second thing is when David and Shlomo built the Beis HaMikdash, the question is, was it only l'shaita or was it also l'asad lavai? Another important point to remember is this question of Kedusha Rishon and Kedusha Sheni is about 2 places, about the Beis HaMikdash and Yerushalayim. It's also about the whole Eretz Yisrael. Terumah bizman hazeh, it medairaisa. Shmita bizman hazeh, it medairaisa. Or not? Does it still have the Kedusha, right? That's a big question. Kedusha Rishon, Kitchel Shaita, Kitchel after Churban Bayis Rishon was there a Kedusha. After Churban Bayis Sheni is there a Kedusha. The Rambam famously paskins, that after Churban Bayis Rishon, the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael was gone. After Churban Bayis Sheni, the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael is still there. It's fascinating. After Bayis Rishon, Kedusha Rishayna, Kitchel Shaita, that's about Eretz Yisrael. But that's a separate question. Here we're talking about Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash. That's the question. The Gemarah is comparing that to Batei Arei Chaim. So some say because Kedushas Eretz Yisrael and Kedushas Yerushalayim go together. Some say no, Batei Arei Chaim are actually similar to Yerushalayim because it's about mechitzas, it's about having a chayma. So in Megillah, if they had to re-sanctify Batei Arei Chaim, it's pshat that the Kedusha was bottled. Okay, that's what Rabbi Shmuel holds. So we see a raya that like Kitchel Asid Lover. Says the Gemarah Viraminu, Amr Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi said, V'chi elu bilvad hayu v'alei kvar nemar shishim ir kol chevel argoiv, uksiv kol ela arim b'tzuris chayma gvaya. Another brayso Rabbi Shmuel says, was it only 9 cities that you mentioned in the Mishnah? It says there were 60 cities in the whole area of Argoiv, and they all had a wall. It means on the Transjordan there were 60 cities that had walls when Yeshua went into Eretz Yisrael. Why the Chaim mentioned 9? Because when Bnei HaGoyla went up back to Bavel, they found these and they sanctified them. Frag the Gemarah Kitchum, they sanctified them. The Brisa continues that they're not going to have to sanctify them, as we'll see in a moment. It's a mistake. It means not they sanctified them, they counted them. And that was the count in the Mishnah. And the Brisa continues, V'loi elu bilvada, l'kol shatala l'cha mesoides b'yadcha ma'avesecha, shemokefes chem v'meis Yeshua benun, kol ha-mitzvahs halalu noigin bam, neshekdusha rishayna kitchel l'shaita v'kitchel l'asid lov. If you ever have a tradition on a city, that it's a city that had a wall from Yeshua ben Nun, all the mitzvahs of a city with a wall apply to it, because the first kedusha of Yeshua is also for the future, even after the Churban. And therefore, even if it was destroyed, it comes back. When Jews come back, it still has the same holiness. We see here, Kashir Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shmuel. In the first brayso, Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi said, they came back and they had to re-sanctify it. And that's why it was only 9. The other ones were not anymore. The Kedusha of Batei Arei Chaim, because Kedusha Rishayna, like Kitchel Asid Love. When Ezra came back, they had to redo it. Second brayso in the name of Rabbi Shmuel says, any city you knew that has a Chayma, has the Kedusha. Automatic. Why? Because the Kedusha was never obliterated. So you have here mamash a contradiction. It says, Trei Tanoi alibid Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. It's probably 2 Tanoim with different versions of how Rabbi Shmuel said the halacha. It was like an argument between 2 Tanoim what the Rebbe said. Another way of answering this contradiction is, Ha Rebbe Lozer Rabbi Yossi Amara. The second brayso is not Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, it's Rabbi Lozer Rabbi Yossi. And there was a mistake. The Tanya, we have a brayso. Rabbi Lozer Rabbi Yossi Amar, Rabbi Lozer Rabbi Yossi says, by Batei Arei Chaim, Pasuk says, a house in a city, Asher Loi Chayma, that has a Chayma, but Loi is supposed to be pronounced as Loi Lamed Vav, but it's written with an Aleph, Loi. But it's supposed to be Lamed Vav. There's a Kri and there's a Ksiv. The Kri is Loi. It has a Chayma. The Ksiv, it's written as it doesn't have a Chayma. Even though it doesn't have a Chayma now, but if it once had, it's good. What do we see from here? Kedusha Rishayna, Kitchel L'shaita, Kitchel Asid Lavai. And therefore, you can come back and treat it as a Bayis Arei Chaim. What do we see from all this? The Tanoim already argued if Kedusha Rishayna, Kitchel L'shaita, Kitchel Asid Lavai or not. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi holds the Kedusha was only for then. After the Churban, it was all destroyed, and after you re-sanctify it. That would follow beautifully with the opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak. Kedusha Rishayna, Kitchel L'shaita, V'lai Kitchel Asid Lavai. There's another shitta, the second brayso in his name, or Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yossi, it's Kedusha Rishayna, Kitchel Asid Lavai. And that's the shitta of Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yossi. So we actually have a machlokes tanoim, a very serious machlokes. If the original kedusha of Batei Arei Chaim remains after the Churban, or it's obliterated or not. If so, we come back and we say, when Rabbi Yitzchak said kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'shaita V'lai Kitchel Asid Lavai about the Beis Hamikdash and Yerushalayim, there's a source for it in the Tanoim. What's a source for it in the Tanoim? This machlokes. Some hold kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'shaita V'lai Kitchel Asid Lavai. Yet Rabbi Yeshua disagrees. That's why you could be makav in the Beis Hamikdash even without a structure. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi disagrees. You can come back to the Batei. You could come back to the Batei Arei Chaim. Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Yossi disagrees. But there's a shita kedusha rishayna kitcha l'shaita v'loy kitcha la'asid lava.
The base of Mikdash was rebuilt. So according to at least one shita, the machlokes is, did it have kedusha all the time, or only when it was rebuilt?
So when the Beis Hamikdash was rebuilt, the question is, did it have to be rebuilt to have kedusha? Bishua says no. It's much better, obviously. It's much better, but no, you're good. And that's why he says you could be makriv today also. Even though no mechitza, you'd have to read, and you'd have to be mekadesh. It's all kadosh. It's all kadosh. Or you say no, like kitchel asid lavai, and there's no kedusha. You want kedusha? They have to redo the whole process in the time of Ezra. Redo the whole process. The Rambam himself is mechalik. He says kedushas Beis Hamikdash and Yerushalayim is because of the shechina. The shechina is not bottle, and therefore they didn't have to do a new kedusha. Kedushas Eretz Yisrael was for the kibush because of conquest, and they had to be mekadesh by Ezra through chazaka to make it mechuyev min hatayra in different mitzvahs atloyas baritz. He's mechalik. Some are not mechalik. Because the Gemarah does compare Batei Arichayim to Yerushalayim. Is that an ayah that Kedushas Eretz Yisrael, Kedushas Hamikdash is the same geder? Some Rishonim say, or they say no, Batei Arichayim is like Yerushalayim because it's about a mechitza.
And what's the bare minimum according to the shita that needs to be rebuilt? Like, what has to be rebuilt?
So you need a heichel, because you have to have a mizbeach pesach hayal mayid. You have to have the heichel with doors to it, and you have to have a mechitza around the heichel and a mechitza around the azara. You have to have some structure. And they had to be at Mekadesh. Rashi says, B'toido, B'klei shir. There were karbonis that they had to offer, and they had to sing. They had to go around it and be at Mekadesh. The city and the place, because you need the city to eat karbonis. To eat karbonis in the city, and you need the Beis Hamikdash to eat karbonis there also, and to be makriv karbonis. Yeah. You also have to be Mekadesh. There was a certain act of kiddush. Yeah, Rashi brings Masech Teshuvos Daf Tezayin. They had to do certain acts of kedusha. So what's the conclusion now? It seems like Oibazai that Rabbi Yitzchak was not rejected. Rabbi Yitzchak, who says you can be makriv in Beis Chainyai, yeah, right, is not rejected, because if you hold kedusha rishayna kitchel l'shaita v'loy kitchel asid lavai, so then you could be makriv b'chutz, because the kedusha is gone. Yeah, after Churban Bayis Rishon, you could be makriv a bomba, and after Churban Bayis Sheni, you can go to Beis Chainyai and be makriv. Chainyai was wrong because he was makriv on a bomba when there was a Beis Hamikdash, but when there's no Beis Hamikdash anymore, Chainyai may have meant l'shem shamayim, but he was wrong because there was a Beis Hamikdash. But after Churban Bayis Sheni, we could go to Beis Chainyai and be makriv karbonis. Or you could be Mekadesh, you make a mizbeach in your backyard in Monsey and start bringing nedarim and nedavis and sprinkle blood, and it's a carbon for Hashem, and all is wonderful. L'chayda, kedusha rishayna kitchel l'shaita v'lei kitchel asid lavai. So the kedusha could now spread to other places. That's what it seems like. That's what Rabbi Yitzchak said. And the Gemarah first rejected it because there's two mishnahs that say you're not allowed to be makriv after Yerushalayim anywhere else. But then he brings a shitta clearly that kedusha rishayna b'shmal b'Rabbi Yossi like kitchel asid lavai. This means that even though Rabbi Yitzchak regretted it, the Gemarah is still like holding on to it. The Gemarah is like still holding on to Rabbi Yitzchak's idea, because the two Mishnahs hold Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel Asid Lavai. So of course he can't go outside of Beis Hamikdash to be makriv. But the Tana who holds Kedusha Rishayna like Kitcha Ela L'Shaita, Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi, the first Braisa, he would hold you can go back to the Bamas after the Churban. The Kedusha is gone, go back to do Bamas. It would mean that the maskana of the Gemarah is that Rabbi Yitzchak's halacha has a source. It's not rejected. The Tana who holds Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita V'loi Kitchel Asid Lavai would agree that after Churban Bayis Sheni, you can go back to Heter Bamais. Just like you did after Shiloi, just like you did when the Jews came in from the desert. Why? Because the Kedusha was temporary for the time when the Beis Hamikdash stands. When Mashiach will come and the Beis Hamikdash will be rebuilt, Bamais will become Aser. So now you want to know why does nobody do it? Okay, so this is one way of learning the Gemarah, which is fascinating because it means Rabbi Yitzchak at the end was rescued. The big problem is, so why was Rabbi Yitzchak so shaken up? I never said it. The Gemarah, you have Tanoim who agree with you. At least you have one Tana who agrees with you. And why did the two Mishnahs derail you? You could say, I'm not following the Mishnahs. I'm following Rabbi Shmuel. The Mishnahs disagree, but I follow a Shitta. So what? So they asked from a Mishnah, asked from two Mishnahs. So why did he get so nispal? Why did he get so nispal? That's the Pella. Why did Yitzchak regret it? They have a question for Mishnahs? Okay. But there's a Tana that agrees with them. Now you might say, Rabbi Yitzchak didn't know about that Tana. Rabbi Yitzchak didn't know about the Tana. How did he even say his opinion? He mamish went against two Mishnahs. Like Tosfos says, everybody knows Mishnayos. So he had to know that there was a Tana who disagreed with the Mishnah. So why did he get so upset when they contradicted him? He must have known about that earlier. That's the question. And that's why Tosfos and the Rashba and other Rishonim are mechadish a little bit of a different pshat. And let's finish with this. Just take a look in Tosfos. We started the Tosfos, but I just want to learn it so you get the full picture, just to understand the other perspective. And what does Tosfos say? You see Daf Yud. Umay time mahaderbe mishum kushya de Rav Mari. You see my time mahaderbe mishum kushya de Rav Mari. The second Tosfos Daf Yud Amud Aleph. Let's do this first. Hiksha harav Reb Chaim. Mitchile eichi amal Monsey. How did he say it lechatchila? V'chile hayedei ha-mishnah le'inshguras b'fi koil. Everybody knows Mishnayos. How can he say such a thing? V'oid kashya kiven de tanoi amay haderbe. Conversely, since the Gemarah concluded some achloikas Tanoi, first we thought Rebbe Lezer, then we thought Rebbe Shmuel. Why does he have to regret it? Lemi should say, Ano da amri command da ama loikitcha. I hold like the man who said loikitcha, was willst du? Why are you running away from your position? Lekach nire la Rav Reb Chaim. The kula alma moidi de mishabal Yerushalayim nesra abamas v'shuv lo helen het. The Gemarah was not vindicating Rabbi Yitzchak's position. Everybody holds once Jews came to Yerushalayim, there's no bombers ever again. Ever again. Vahani Tanoi, the Tanoim that the Gemarah brings about Kedusha Rishona is not if you can go out of the Beis HaMikdash to be makriv a carbon after the Churban. No, Hani Tanoi Bahopligi. The argument is about one thing. Manda Amar Loikicha, the one who says Loikicha Lasid Love Savar, the Av B'Mekayma Shal Mizbeach Ein Yichayil Lahakriv Achshav. Even in the place of the Mizbeach, there's no bringing a carbon now after the Churban, because the Kedusha, so to speak, was dissolved, and you can't bring a carbon in a place of no Kedusha. You have to wait till they rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. Unlike Rabbi Yehoshua. The other view holds in the place of the Mizbeach, you're allowed to be makriv, even without a Beis HaMikdash, because the Kedusha is still there. Avaloi bebama. Nobody argues about a bama. This is a very different perspective in the Gemarah. The first perspective is Rabbi Yitzchak was vindicated. Tosfos has all these problems, so Tosfos quotes from Rabbeinu Chaim, and the Rashba and the Ritva all discussed this at length, that the Gemarah is not trying to vindicate Rabbi Yitzchak. Even Rabbi Yitzchak himself retracted his position. In other words, Taka lechatchila Rabbi Yitzchak thought it's about the machloikas of Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shaita. That's why he said himself that you're allowed to be makriv in Beis Chayne because Kedusha Rishayna loy kitcha lasid love. That's what he thought. When Rav Mari showed him two Mishnayos that say otherwise, not one, but two, and no Tana argues with the Mishnah, because Rabbi Shmuel didn't speak about baking a bama. Rabbi Shmuel spoke about Batei Arichayma, they had to re-sanctify it. He realized that he misinterpreted the Mishnahs. He misinterpreted the Tana who holds Kedusha Rishayna. In other words, the Chatchila, he thought, the Mishnahs taka say this, but there's a Tana who holds Loi Kitchel Asid Lava. So therefore, right, I could be makriv in a bama. When Rav Mari asked from these two Mishnahs without anybody challenging it, he realized that he went too far. He took the position of the Tana and he extended it too far. He realized that that was a mistake. In other words, none of the Tanoim disagree. Even if you hold Kedusha Rishayna, is only l'shayta v'lo kitcha la'asid lava. It means that the Arei Chaima you have to re-sanctify. When they came back, they had to re-sanctify. It also means you can't just be makav in the Beis HaMikdash without a mechitza. You have to build the Beis HaMikdash because you have to recreate the Kedusha. I got that. That's what it means. But Isser Bama, to say you can go out, that we still disagree. So that's why the Bitzchak regretted it, and the Gemarah was not changing that. That's how Tosfos learns the Gemarah. Now you might ask, if Kedusha Rishoyin, a kitchel l'shayta v'loy kitchel asid lavai, why takanat? Why would the Bama not be mutter, right? If the Kedusha is gone, so this is not the place of the Shechina. So not you do it in your house. Just like after Shiloh. Just like after Shiloh, you could do it in your house. Right? Just like before the desert, you do it in your house. If it's what's taka this one? But the Arei Chaima, you say there's no Kedusha. It should be Haba Hatalia. It should be Haba Hatalia, right?
Seems like the concept of the carbon is not there anymore.
So the Brisker of the Chidusha Hagriz in Masechtes Vachim, he has a whole explanation here, and then Nekuda that he says is very geschmack, and he says, the Brisker of says, Reb Velvel Brisker, Reb Yitzchak Zev Alevi Soloveitchik, the Chidusha Hagriz. So he says that the Isser Bamos that started when they built the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, the Beis HaMikdash, is not because of the Kedushas HaMikdash. In other words, because the Mikdash is a holy place, so therefore the holiness is not in your house, it goes there. Because then you would say the holiness is now squandered, it's like Kitchelos, love it, so you can go back to your house. The pshat is that from the time when the Beis HaMikdash was built, that was the place that was chosen for Karbonis. That's the Vart. That's the place that was chosen. So even if you hold that you can't be makriv over there, because Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel L'Shayta V'Loi Kitchel Asid Lavai, and therefore the Kedusha is not there, and you have to rebuild the Beis HaMikdash, unlike Rabbi Yeshua, right? Even if you hold that, you're right, you can't be makriv there because you don't have the Kedusha. But there's another din, that was the place chosen for Karbonis. So Bein L'Meila, since that was the place chosen, Mokem Asher Yivchar Hashem L'Shaken Shmoi Sham. So even if there's missing the Kedusha, because Kitchel Asid Lavai, Shiloh wasn't chosen as the Mokem HaShechina. Yerushalayim, the place was chosen as the Makam HaShechina. There's a big difference. Shiloh was a temporary Makam HaShechina. Here, it was chosen as a place of the Shechina. Because it was chosen as a place, it's the place of Bechira. Even if you're missing Kedusha, but it was chosen. Because it was chosen, so therefore you can't go choose another place. See, but there's no Kedusha, okay. But from when the Beis HaMikdash was built, it's Makam Asher Yivchar Hashem L'Shaken Shmoi Sham. So now there's no Kedusha, so you have to you have to reveal the Kedusha again. So Zayin. But I can't now go and say, so therefore I can be makriv with a bama in my house, because that place was chosen for akrava, and even if there's no Beis HaMikdash and there's no Kedusha, that bechira wasn't bottled. If you want to say it a little more, a little more, in a little bit different terms, you could very much compare it to a Jew, right? We say, Ata v'chartonu mikol ha'amim. Right? You chose us from all the nations. Does it mean that every Jew lives up to that bechira? No, sometimes there's no kedusha that's revealed, right? And there's different halachas. Right? There's sometimes a Jew you're not allowed to drink yayin. I'm not talking about tinoikus shenidru, mechal Shabbos b'fehesio, all these types of halachas, right? A mumar, you can't use a shchita. The yaino is yayin nesach. It has very serious halachas, right? There's tumah. Why? Because it's a meshumad, or it's mechal Shabbos b'fehesio. There's different halachas, different gedarim. Did it change the bechira? Did it change the bechira? The Gemarah says in Masechta, everybody knows the Gemarah, Masechta Sanhedrin, about Achan, Afal Pisha Chata, Yisraelhu. And the chet over there is not that he didn't do Mayim Achroinim. It's not that he didn't do Mayim Achroinim, or he didn't wear a strimal on Shabbos, or he didn't put on a gaitel. The chet over there is pretty hectic stuff. The 5 things that he did. Pretty hectic. I mean, Baal, Nairam, I mean, he was... he did the 3 cardinal, he was involved in the cardinal sins. Still you say Yisrael. So the Bechira is there, even if the Kedusha is not revealed. The Bechira is there. So that's Pshat also. Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash became the Mokem Asher Yivchar Hashem. And that becomes the place that was chosen. And it's not unchosen. This is the place he chose. If you hold Kedusha Rishayna, Loi Kitchel Asid Lavi, it means with the Churban, the kedusha is concealed. I can't be makriv karbonos. I can't eat karbonis there. I can't until I rebuild. Unlike Rabbi Yeshua, right? I have to be Mekadosh again. But to go to my house and build a new bama and say, here's a new Kedusha because the karbonis are there, it's like saying this Jew is not Jewish anymore. We're going somewhere else. No. Neitzer matoi ma'aseh yadai lehispoyer. Verstehst?
It was chosen for the time of the Akedah.
Yeah. It was chosen at the time of the Akedah, but there's different levels in that. Because even after the Akedah, there can still be makriv bomas. So it's a different type of bchira. So it's called Mokim Asher Yivchar Hashem in Parshas Re'eh. Mokim Asher Yivchar Hashem Elokeichem Bai. It's Beis HaBchira. It's interesting. The Rambam calls it Hilchis Beis HaBchira, not Hilchis Beis HaMikdash. You would think the proper word would be Hilchis Beis HaMikdash. He doesn't call it Beis HaMikdash. He calls it Hilchis Beis HaBchira. What's Beis HaBchira? The place that was chosen. Bachar, like Bchira, place that was chosen. Because it was chosen, so that's the pshat and taisvus here. That even if you hold loy kitchel asid lavoi, which by the way the Rambam holds kitchel asid lavoi by Yerushalayim and the Beis HaMikdash, because it's b'pnei hashchina. But even if you hold not, you could still not be makriv bomas. That's the big question. Tumah hutter b'tzibur to bring a carbon, not to go on the harabayas b'tumah. So there was a certain place, right, where a tmei meis could go. A tmei meis was only meshulach from one machana. There's three machanas. Machana Shchina, Machana Leviyah, Machana Yisrael. Machana Shchina is the Azara. The Heichel, of course, the Azara, that's where they ate karbonas. Yeah, that's the Shchina. Machane outside of that is Machana Leviyah. Machana Leviyah is the Harabayas, and then you have Machana Yisrael, the whole Yerushalayim inside the wall. A Mitzayra had to go out from all three. Any bias, Arei Chaima and Mitzayra had to leave. Mechutz Lamar, had to go out from all three. Azava from two. Tmei Meis only from one. So even if I go to the mikveh now in a wellspring, so I'm completely tired, but there's one tumah I can't get rid of. Tumas meis, because I need paraduma. So if I don't know exactly where's Machane Shechina in the Harabayas, and I walk into the Azara, right? It's a very serious issue. I'm saying, so there are those who say that we know exactly, and therefore you can go to other places. But that's not negate to karbonis, because when it comes to karbonis, Tuma, Tchuya B'tzibur. But stamp to go on the Harabayas because I want to, for the selfie. That's a very big shaila. That's why most of the poskim were against it because of the many sveikas. And you're dealing with inyanim of chorus. It's a very serious thing to go into Tuma to the But there's sveikas. On the other hand, you have to know the place in order to be makriv a carbon because you have to have the place of the Azara. Right? Because that's the Kedusha. Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel Asid Lava, you need a place of the Azar, even though there's no structure, you have to build a Mizbeach. You have to sprinkle the blood. A carbon is only good if you sprinkle the blood. Of course you have to build a Mizbeach. If to be makar the carbon Pesach, you would have to know where the Azara was, at least approximate. It should be in that area, even if it's not mamish the Mizbeach in the same place. No, you can build a Mizbeach with a shiurim. You have to have a kohen. Somebody has to slaughter the carbon Pesach, even a Yisrael could do it. A kohen has to sprinkle the blood, right? Place the fat on the Mizbeach to burn it, and then you take it home. You make a barbecue in Rechav Mizgav Ladach, or near the Tzemach Tzedek Shul, or the Rova, right? Or by Esha Torah, or whatever it is. And you sit on the roof, and you barbecue, and you have a Seder. You say, V'noichal shaman apsuchim amen azvuchim. The Aroin wasn't even there by Bayis Sheni. That doesn't make the Beis HaMikdash. Doesn't make it or break it.
The fact that
You don't need the Aroin to have a Beis HaMikdash. They didn't have it in Bayis Sheni. The wall, the Chesem Arav is the wall for the Harabayas. But they say the dome of the rock is the Even Shishia. The Evan Shasiyah was in Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Mishnah says in Maseches Yoma, right? If that's the dome of the rock, so now the Kodesh HaKadoshim was west, the western, most Ma'ariv part of the Beis HaMikdash. So if you go to Mizrach and you measure, right, Kodesh HaKadoshim out to the Heichel like this, Azara, Azara, Azara. So let's say, they say in the Azara we have a certain domain, how big the Azara was. So even if we don't get it right, but if it's in that domain, you have the heter to be makar of a carbon there, because Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel Asid Lava. You get it? And you're good. So there are those who argue, yeah. And I'm telling you, Rabbi Kiva Eiger held from it, the Chaim Sofer held from it, big poiskim. It's Bali Atoisus, Rabbi Chil mi Paris held you could go be Makav Karbonis the time of Golos. Others argue, no question, but I'm saying it's fascinating. Tumo hutra b'tzibur, tchuya b'tzibur, tchuya hutra. If the tzibur is tamei, you could bring kankayanim for a carbon, not stam to be a turret. You could the kayan could be makriv b'tumah if the whole tzibur is tamei. Carbon Pesach is a chiyuv on the individual. Carbon Pesach is a chiyuv on every individual. Yeah. The Sefer HaChinuch says that Rabbi Yeshua didn't mean you have to be makriv when there's no Beis HaMikdash. It means you're allowed to be makriv. You're allowed to be makriv when the Beis HaMikdash is not there. You're allowed to be makriv. So that means there's no chiyuv every day to bring a carbon tamid and a carbon musaf. You're allowed to. By Pesach, they felt, right, it's a chiyuv on the yachid. You don't have a Sanhedrin. Karbonis Sibur is a chiyuv on the Sanhedrin. Carbon Pesach is a chiyuv on the Yachid. So if you could, you have to. And it's a question of Karis. Other Karbonis is not Karis. Carbon Pesach is the only mitzvah's essay. If you don't do it, and it's Karis on the individual. So that was the Taina. That's why the Rebbe felt that Erev Pesach, after Chatzos, you shouldn't be within Tesvav mil of Yerushalayim, so you're B'derech Rechaika. If you're B'derech Rechaika, right, you're Potter. There's no chiyuv Karis. Because it says Kiyeh ish tamil nefesh b'derech rechaika, right? And he can't do the Pesach, so it's not an inyan of karis anymore. And Pesach Sheni also. Leute psak din harambam makrivin afal pi she'ein bayis bonoi oichlin kotche kadoshim afal pi she'ein kloyim. Right? Oichlin kotchem kalam afal pi she'ein chayma. They should kedusha rishoyna kitchel l'shaita v'kitchel asidlo.
They eat the matzah with koirach. They eat the matzah with the flesh.
Ah?
They eat the matzah with the meat. They make a real sandwich.
Yeah, you make a sandwich. You make a koirach. You do everything. Why not? Even you're saying it's kedusha shniya. You're right, because now it's after Churban Bayesheni. Basically, there's kedusha rishayna of David and Shloimeh. There's kedusha shniya of Ezra, but they were mekadesh it l'shaita or l'asid lava. If it was only l'shaita, right? So then l'asid lava, there's no kedusha. So Rabbi Yitzchak says, "Mei chanyai, yeah, in Beis Chanya, bisman after Churban Bayesheni, you can go, because it's not for after the Churban." You understand? That's what Rabbi Yitzchak holds. When he says Kedusha Rishayna, it means when it started. Kedusha Rishayna is David and Shloimeh. Because that's Negeah for Heter Bomis. But it's also Kedusha Shniya according to him. He said you can go to Beis Chanya. Then he said he never said it. He never said it. The question is if the Gemarah holds it.
Parshas tells and gives even after like Kitchelos love you couldn't leave the Bahamas.
Tosfos says nobody holds Bamas. At the end, nobody holds Bamas. They didn't. He holds no. After Bayis Rishon, it's all over. Once Shiloh was destroyed, they could do it, and once the Beis HaMikdash was built, it's all over. No Bamas anymore. Bye-bye Bamas. Bye-bye Bamas. Yeah, no more Bamas.
Something is so chumrah that you get kares. Why is it cut column? If that's such a severe penalty, why is it column?
It's column in the sense of the kedusha of the carbon. The penalty is kares for that and bris milah, because it's relevant to Jewish identity. But the kedusha of the carbon itself, by everybody, men, women, children, kayanim, leviim, Yisraelim, Okay, we'll continue Be'ezer Hashem tomorrow. The next sugya starts till the end, explaining Megillah Esther.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.